Well, for more than 20 years, OSHER GÜNSBERG has been a regular on your radio and your TV set. We knew him best as Andrew G, the co-host of Australian Idol. But behind that shaggy blonde hair and the bright smile was a troubled man.
He was living dark days of addiction and depression, a long list of mental health and weight issues that left him unemployed and battling suicidal thoughts.
In his deeply honest and raw memoir, Back After the Break, the 44-year-old opens up about overcoming his inner turmoil and the woman who helped him change his life. We welcome OSHER GÜNSBERG to the morning show. Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
This is personal. It's sometimes painful. Why did you want to put it all out there?
I think what was really important to me, Sally, was that along my journey of getting better and healing, certainly around sobriety, certainly around my mental illness, when I heard someone else put their hand up and say, here's what happened in my life, here's what was wrong, here's what happened, here's how it got better, I was like, hang on, that sounds like me, but you seem to have it figured out. That's one particular man. I was like, you're married, you've got kids, you've got a career again. At the time, I was divorced, unemployed, and I was like single. I was like, well, clearly you know something that I don't. So it was only in hearing that I knew that there was hope to get better, and so I'm just trying to do the same thing and like to share my story. Yeah.
It's hard for us pouring through all this information to understand where to start.
Yeah.
With not only with your story, but with an interview like this. We don't have a certain amount of time, but do you start the story? Do you look back at it and go, it started when I was a child, I had this unhealthy relationship with food?
Yeah.
Is that where you pinpoint, this is where it started?
Well, nothing happens in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Just like when everything really fell off the rails was about 2014. That's when I slipped into, I was starting to have episodes of psychosis and paranoid delusions, which are terrible. I don't recommend it.
Right.
But that didn't just happen. I'm just trying to write a book about like, here's all the stuff that, as you can see, is getting progressively worse, and this is where it ends up. It ends up with you alone in a hotel room thinking, I know a really good way to make all this pain stop. And so the idea is just to try and share, like, if any of these things that happen in your life, it is progressive, and go get a doctor's help, like quick sticks.
Right.
One of the things you're talking about is that you thought the world was coming to an end and nobody knew.
Yes.
And the pain, as you describe it in the book, was unbearable.
Yeah.
And you were having, I guess, suicidal thoughts. You reached out to your family. They're the ones who, I guess, brought you back in off the ledge. Tell us about that.
Well, I was experiencing what's called paranoid delusions, which is where like absolutely nothing can change what you believe is to be true. It's very, very difficult. It's as if I was trying to tell you, but you don't understand, guys, we're in a swimming pool right now. And you're like, no, we're not. It's like, how come you don't feel wet? Because my brain was starting to tell me, like, even feeling, sensation on my skin. It was very, very troubling. And my mentor at the time, I remember calling him, telling him what was going on. He goes, well, his words were, the problem with crazy people is they don't know they're crazy. He said, you're kind of lucky in that you know something really wrong is going on. But it didn't make the pain any less awful. Like, it was a lot of physical pain as well. And that's the thing, because so many switches are misfiring in your brain, the tactile sensations are firing, and it hurts in your stomach, and it's really odd.
As a TV host, I hated you when you started. Because there you were on your big shiny stage with your beautiful hair and your fantastic smile and running this show like being the world's best TV host. And yet now we know all this that was happening behind the scenes. Was it for you? Was it like leading a double life? Was it that clean cut?
Kind of, I guess the thing for me, anxiety was a lack of control, all right? And as you both know, when are you more in control? When you're staring down the barrel of a camera and there's 800 people in the room and everyone's quiet and there's a couple million people at home watching and everyone's quiet and you're the one in control. Like those moments were just absolute serenity. Those moments of focus were complete serenity. I would compare it to like someone like, I don't know, Stephanie Gilmore. She'll win a world title on a 12-second wave, all right? And those 12 seconds she'll remember for the rest of her life. Or someone who has a perfect golf swing, you're just trying to hold on to those little moments of respite. So when I was doing my job, I was really lucky because actually, that was a thing that gave it relief.
Right.
You said that there were parts of Australian Idol you don't even remember filming.
Second season. I know Casey Donovan won, and Anthony Collier sang a song about a prayer. But yeah, I don't really remember the second season, no.
Is there a rock bottom? Was there a rock bottom, and where was it?
Yes, there was a rock bottom, but I did a thing that is commonly I dragged along the bottom, kind of like an oil tanker hitting a coral reef in slow motion. It was a couple of years where I just kind of, I kept, particularly with drinking, I kept trying to stop it, I couldn't. But yeah, it all came, as I write about it in the book actually, there was a moment where I woke up, I was on a trip. I was in New York City, and I woke up that morning and I was like, it was no bigger night than I'd had before. It was no worse night than I'd had before. It was just another night. I was like, I really can't, because it happened every single time. No matter how differently I started the night, it always ended the same. I'm like, I just can't do this again. That was it.
Let's talk about the name change.
Yeah.
That took a lot of people by surprise. Why was it important for you?
Well, it's just a really standard story, Sally. You know, I met a Kabbalist mystic in Tel Aviv who told me if I changed my name, I'd change my life. I did, and it did. Doesn't that happen to...
We've all been there.
We've all been there. And yeah, well, what it did at the time was, and you know, it was definitely part of a spiritual, decision to make at the time. I was on a very spiritual path, certainly with my recovery, and it really fit in with a lot of the stuff that I was going through in my life, and it did actually, in many ways, help me redefine who I want to live into being, if that helps to explain it. And yeah, it seems to have worked out.
Can we talk about the book here? Because there is no sugarcoating. In fact, it takes us to some very deep and dark places and stuff we would never have known about you looking from the outside. So the question, I suppose, then, Osher, is why? Why did you want to be so honest, and why did you want everyone to know this?
It's so important that, Larry, 8 people today in Australia we will lose to suicide. If that was the road toll, we would stop traffic today. I'd be like, all right, everybody's taking buses until we figure this out. All right? But it's not. And it's so important because in that moment, and I write about it in the book, I was in a hotel room, and that's when the idea came to me. I was like, I had no idea that it was so seductive, and I needed to talk about it. I was like, because you've lost friends to suicide, both of you, and it's horrible. But when it first happens, you're like, why would they do such a thing? Once I came so close to it, I was like, oh, right, this is why, okay, got it. I have to talk about this. I have to let people know that it'll come to you as a really smart idea. It's not. But it'll try to seduce you with its comfort and relief, and that's why I really wanted to talk about it. Yeah.
Where are you at with that now? Because that's not necessarily something that just goes away. So where are you at in your path?
Well, I was talking to my psychiatrist about it, and I still, I'm off medication at the moment, but I still check in with my psychiatrist about every 6 weeks or so. I see my psychologist about every fortnight or so. It's super important to maintain a good relationship with my mental health. I think the little pieces of kind of the psychosis, all that stuff, will be with me for the rest of my life, and that's kind of okay. When it first happened, it was like this massive billboard in front of my face that I couldn't see anything but that. I couldn't connect with my family. I couldn't do my job. And with treatment and with hard work and a lot of self-reflection, that billboard kind of got a bit smaller, and it's about the size of a bus ad. And now it's kind of like a phone sitting here on this table. All right, so I can see everything else and I can connect you, but every now and then it flashes up and your eyes go to it. And like I woke up this morning, I even said to my wife this morning, I woke up this morning and I was kind of filled with it for a moment, and then I know strategies to get away from that and to get back to you guys. All right, so yeah, it's going to probably be with me for the rest of my life, and it's just managing that.
Your wife was there when the so-called phone billboard started to blink. How important has Audrey been in all of this?
Honestly, Larry, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you if it wasn't for Audrey. I met her when I was very, very ill, and I told her from the start that I was very, very ill. And I was on 2 different kinds of antipsychotics. I was, and between medication's great because it helps your thinking calm down a lot, but sometimes there's some side effects that are tough, particularly when you're trying to start dating in a relationship. The things it does to your testosterone can kind of take the spark away. So she was very kind and persevered through a lot of that. And honestly, having someone to live for is so important. I don't have to tell you that, but finding Audrey and being able to have this rational person in my life whose thoughts I could, like even this morning, I said, look, this is the thing that was worrying me. What's your take on this thing? And she goes, well, it makes me sad. It makes me, a bit worried, but I can only accept my part and I can control that, and I can kind of hold on to that because that's a far healthier version of things, and I trust her.
She becomes your anchor then.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I still have to reality check every now and again. and thankfully, you know, she calls me on it every day, because I can be quite selfish sometimes, and so she calls me on it quite a bit, and I'm really grateful that I have her to keep me in check, actually.
TV host being selfish, I've never heard of that before.
That's a first, surely.
Mate, great to see you. Looking fantastic.
Yeah.
We know you've got the big health thing going on as well.
Thanks for having me on. Well, it's all a part of the maintenance, Larry. It's all a part of keeping my head straight. Involves, like, if I keep my body right, my head is a lot easier to be in.
Yeah.
So that's a big part.
Great message. Good to see you.
Thank you so much.
OSHER's book, Back After the Break, is out now.
And if this segment has raised issues for you or for someone you know, there are some numbers, helpline numbers on the screen right now.
And don't hesitate to call out for help if you need it. Soon for you.